This program contains adult content.
Is there a God?
Big atheist.
Really?
What, am I an idiot? Come on.
That yes, it would be nice if you could throw your sins and your responsibilities on someone else. But it's not true.
It looks like far-left lunacy.
I don't believe that it's true that religion is moral or ethical.
You don't need to follow anybody!
It's not human intelligence!
If someone doesn't value logical consistency, what logical argument are you going to give them that will demonstrate that they should?
Welcome back, Rebels. This is... You guys are just fucking looking at me like I'm crazy.
Like, what the hell was that?
I am kind of crazy. This is the Godless Rebelution. Welcome to the show. This is episode 157. Today is Thursday, May 18th. My name is Dan Ellis, and we're happy to have back the four-eyed firefighting wonder, Mr. Ryan Duffy.
I'm back, and I'm obviously doing better than Dan is.
Yeah, I want to apologize in advance and up front. I've been pretty fucking sick over the last week, and I don't know how long my voice is going to last or if it will, and I am sure that there will be a lot of throat clearing and or coughing during this episode. I apologize, but I'm sick and am still recording the show for you, our wonderful listeners.
We'll do our best to carry him.
Yeah.
In that
I appreciate that very much. In studio with us again this week is the wonderful Mr. Grant Larimer.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing well. We just talked about me being sick,
talked
man.
about that.
Come on.
Rub it in.
It's just,
yes.
as he clears his throat.
And you are in studio with us because
you asked me to.
Mr. Misanthropic Mitchell is not here again this evening.
Yes.
Still out touring the countryside.
How dare he take a vacation?
Burninating the villages. We have a lot of news to cover tonight. We're going to be doing a bit of a deep dive into a lot of the recent news surrounding the Trump administration and the heinous fuckery involved with a lot of the things going on there, such as the firing of James Comey. Not that it's heinous fuckery, but the appointing of a special counsel to investigate the Trump campaign's ties to Russia.
Yes.
And all kinds of stuff like that. Our wonderful investigative reporter, listener, Mr. Alexander Scholl, has compiled a lot more stuff for us that we will be going through. Before we get to all of that, though, I wanted to say, again, thank you very much to Mr. Lloyd Evans, who joined us last week. We've had a lot of feedback on that show, and it's probably because Grant and I are such huge dumbasses.
Well, I think it's also a subject that doesn't get talked about a lot, which is why I was sad I missed last week, because I was excited to get to talk to him about some of the stuff. And we got a ton of feedback on that show. All of it was good feedback. I say we got a lot of feedback probably because we're dumbasses, because it wasn't people complaining they disliked the show. It was them answering a lot of the questions that we had afterward.
You could do a whole nother show with just all the questions that we didn't ask or forgot to ask or came in afterwards.
Yeah, and I think we will definitely have to do that. We received long messages from both Tony Brock and Andrew Vodopich, who answered a lot of our questions. We were going to go through all of those this evening, but I want to make sure that we get through all of this Trump stuff first, so we may be able to get some of that stuff in at the end. If not, we will definitely go over a lot of that feedback next week. But I felt it was important that we all get on the same page and get you informed about what is going on with the Donald and everything that is going on there.
In case you've been living under a rock the last week.
Yeah, because there's a whole lot of fucking crazy shit going on, man.
Yeah, by time you hear this on Monday, if you listen to it on the day it comes out, or Sunday if you're a Patreon member, he might be in jail for all we fucking know. I don't think it's going to go that quick. It's not going to go that quick, but the way things are developing, it's kind of just a little insane.
Yeah, it is. It is.
What I mentioned last week that, he could be in jail by the time the show aired or whatever. Yeah. And I said that very flippantly. And then all of this stuff happened after we recorded the show. And I was like, wow, that escalated pretty quickly.
All I know is all my Trump-supporting friends at work and on Facebook have shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I know. All of my Trump-supporting Republican, I don't even want to say friends anymore.
Yeah.
They're more associates. They're posting pictures of their backyard gardens.
Yeah.
It's like they're not even trying anymore.
It's like, look at my distraction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all crickets and garden pictures and bullshit now. They're no longer saying, "Oh, you just special snowflakes and you can't handle that he won," and blah blah. Now they're like, "Oh shit, this is some serious stuff going on.
We made a mistake."
But if you have friends that are ignoring it, that means you have friends that are not the most naive of Republican Trump voters.
Yes,
because some people are still out there tooting the Trump horn.
Oh yeah, there are. Yeah, definitely.
Tooting the Trump horn.
You like that? I just came up with it. I imagine a horn, a trumpet, shoved up someone's asshole.
People are just inventing things left and right. I mean, tooting the Trump.
Yeah.
Last week Trump came up with priming the pump.
Yep.
That's right.
And
Melania.
I got it. So my thought with coming from my background with the whole priming the pump thing, it's got a whole different origin for my career field and anything dealing with water.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the origins of priming the pump.
Yeah. So I'm like, even with that origin, it's like, it's an old phrase that's just used different ways. So and even with the way he uses it, it's not original.
Well, yeah, it far predates its use in the financial industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's old as fuck. He did not.
What is it in your line of work?
Well, a pump doesn't work without water in it to begin with. So you have to prime the pump. So you got to put some water into the pump, or you got to draw water up into it before you can start pressurizing the water.
Back in the old Little House of the Prairie days, when you had a hand pump in there, in order to, like he was saying, in order to get the little hand pump to work, you had to pour some water in it to make that seal, and then pump it, and then water would start flowing from the well.
If you're trying to draw up air or water and there's air there, air's going to win every time.
Yeah.
So
that's the origins of priming the pump.
The origins.
Well, and then the financial industry start using the term relative to the economy. But
how do they use it in the financial industry?
Well, investing. I mean, when you invest in something in order to make greater gains, a greater profit, you are priming the pump. You are by putting money into something in order to make a profit, you're priming the pump.
Okay.
You're putting a little bit of money in to get more money out. The same way a well, you put a little water in to get a whole lot of water out.
So it's kind of like the basics of just a investment.
Yeah. Essentially, yeah. I mean, it's not original.
No.
Not all that tricky either.
Not all that tricky.
Okay.
It's not rocket. Well, for Trump, it might be rocket science, but.
So I already apologized because I'm sick. My voice is not great and may go, and there will be coughing and clearing of the throat. And also, because I'm sick, my brain doesn't seem to be functioning all that well.
That's not because you're sick.
Probably not. I mean,
that's age.
That's a good excuse, right?
That's age and Alzheimer's. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, I feel a little bit slow, and I'm a little cloudy with the medications and being sick. So
I was there last week.
Yeah, this whole fucking week, man. It's like, well, when Tracy was sick, she mentioned it's like. She just felt like she was underwater the whole time. Like all of the sounds are muffled and you just feel like you're moving a bit more slowly and
you're trying to think of something and you're like, can't concentrate on it, can't.
Well, yeah, when we were recording last week, I think I must have been getting sick when we were recording last week because I had a really difficult time recalling shit. There were 3 or 4 names that I was like, what the fuck is that guy's name?
We were having a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Remembering shit. Well, and your voice was kind of bad, but you thought it was more springtime pollen. Stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was more allergies, but I think that was the start of the start of the sickness.
Oh, okay.
Because the next day I was like, no, I don't feel very good. I might not go to work today.
You work from home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
how do you not go to work when you work from home? You just don't go from one room to the next?
Well, I
go
just
to the bar.
So like if I'm really sick, even though I work from home, I feel guilty that I'm not like at 100%. And so I feel like, well, I should just take this time off and be sick and go and relax rather than kind of spinning my wheels and not doing a whole lot. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It just makes me feel guilty. And,
no, that makes sense.
Is that, yeah.
But a respectable government worker. I mean, who would have known? I save up all my sick days for like Mexican cruises. And shit.
I stayed at work and got paid overtime sick.
Yeah. Yeah, Ryan got called in for overtime. That's why he wasn't here.
It wasn't even called in. It was, hey, I know you're sick, but you have to work tomorrow. It's like, oh.
Voluntold.
Thank you.
Voluntold you'll be working. All right, well, let's move on to the Trump stuff, shall we?
This is Danielle Moscato, civil rights activist, trans woman extraordinaire, and public speaker. You are listening to Godless Rebelution, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Hey everybody, this is X.
And I'm Kyle.
And I'm Felicia. We're the Utah Outcasts.
3 out, unashamed, and active atheists living in Utah.
And we are personally inviting you to let us love your ears each and every week.
As we take the news, current events, and pop culture and give it a little twist.
A love twist, with consent.
And we'll be joined each week by a special guest to tell us what makes them an outcast like us.
Come find us.
The Utah Outcasts.
On podhell.com, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play,
Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
And on UtahOutcast.com.
We finally bought that domain off the kids handing out mixtapes in the mall.
Come be an outcast with us.
Take care of yourselves out there.
Bonne nuit.
And you're welcome.
The next rant will start right after this.
God that our neighbors believe in is essentially an invisible person. He is a creator deity who created the universe to have a relationship with one species of primate. Lucky us. and he's got galaxy upon galaxy to attend to, but he's especially concerned with what we do, and he's especially concerned with what we do while naked.
So as I mentioned in the show intro, our wonderful listener and investigative reporter person, Mr. Alexander Scholl, put a bunch of information together for us tonight. And he did it like on the fly. He contacted me last night.
Oh, wow.
And was like, holy shit, dude, there's so much going on. I'm going to put some stuff together. So he typed up a whole bunch of stuff for us. The intro for it says, thank you for your time and consideration. I feel I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that this is one of the most impactful, tumultuous weeks in the history of our republic, at least in peacetime. So much news has dropped so rapidly with regard to the Trump administration and the Trump-Russia investigation that I felt compelled to develop a roundup. Simply put, in an ordinary news week, you can depend on the average, engaged citizen to encounter the most important news stories. This week, there was simply too much content for most people to keep up. And that's absolutely
really?
true.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
it's like every 6 hours. It's like,
yeah, well, it's like every hour. I'm like, oh shit, what did he do now? What is he tweeting now? Who's doing what?
Because halfway through the Rachel Maddow show, all of a sudden, breaking news.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That was just during last night's episode.
Just last night's episode. That, yeah. Something broke.
It says, below you will find brief and not so brief synopses of what I assess to be the most critical stories that occurred in the last week, beginning with the Keystone, the appointment of Special Counselor Mueller. Following that are a chain of articles demonstrating worrying indicators and warnings of constitutional regression, what scholar Aziz Hook would call the descent of a state into authoritarianism, not through overt action, but by incremental legal backsliding. Thank you again for your time. I know you're a show oriented toward religious issues. However, it is important to note that the present administration's affinity with radical religious groups, per pay-for-play appointment of Betsy DeVos and others, a decline in Western liberal values led by this administration will directly translate into the furtherance of state religion.
Yeah.
Which is true. I mean, it's already happening.
Yeah.
We see it with Betsy DeVos, who wants to now get government funds for people to attend private religious institutions.
Yeah. Or even when one of the speeches Trump gave at a school this last week, where it was a religious school, where it said this country is, something I can't remember.
Yeah, what was it? Trinity University?
He basically said
one
that
of those.
This country is, something God first, basically about the country. Like this country revolves around God, not the Constitution type thing.
Bunch of horseshit.
Yeah.
Was he taking the David Barton line of, the Constitution is not
oh my God.
a secular document because it doesn't mention God. What? What? How does that work? I felt like
no, that's how we were last week trying to talk about it. It's like,
I should have thrown in that drop from Matt just going, what?
Yeah.
You need one of those panels with like all the buttons where you could just, the Mad Money guy, and you could just hit a button.
An actual soundboard.
Yeah. Thing that makes fart noises and horns and honks. And...
Like, what's his name on Mad Money, and he can...
I do have a MIDI keyboard at home. We can just program it.
Nice. Bring it in. Tuesday, May 9th, Comey is fired. That is James Comey, head of the FBI. Keep that date in mind as we go through all of this. That was Tuesday, May 9th. Today is Thursday, May 18th.
Yeah.
So not even 10 days later. On Wednesday, May 17th, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein appoints Robert Mueller as special counsel probe into the Russian meddling in 2016 election.
So a whole shitload happened between that. Something happened just a few hours ago that's relevant that we need to throw in there is that Rosenstein wrote the memo, which Trump referenced as the justification for the firing. And that's relevant to the firing and relevant to what happened a few hours ago. So I'm just going to throw that in there.
Yes.
So I think he wrote that memo on May 8th, like the day before he was fired. So I'm going to throw that.
Okay. In a brief statement, Mueller said, "I accept this responsibility and will discharge it to the best of my ability. Per CNN, he has the power to set his own budget, hire his own staff, and exercise, quote, a degree of independence from the normal chain of command."
Which is good and bad.
How's it bad, you think?
Well, it could be setting your own budget and hiring your own people.
If he goes rogue.
Well, I mean, say you can abuse that kind of.
He goes and buys some 20s and.
Well, I mean, if you're setting your own budget, which time frames on these things, like the last impeachments have taken like a year or two.
They have. But Mueller is highly respected. I
don't know a whole lot about Mueller, which is my downfall right now. I know I read something or just heard little snippets where he used to be a big guy in the FBI, if I'm correct.
Yes, he used
not
to be...
not as a director, but he was up there. I thought.
Shit, now I can't remember.
Mueller led the FBI for 12 years.
He did. Okay.
Yeah, he led the FBI for 12 years.
He was appointed under Bush, and Obama kept him on and asked him to stay another 2 years beyond his 10-year term.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Because there was so much turmoil in turning over leaders of other
intelligence agencies
that Obama wanted to try to maintain some continuity.
Yeah.
And Mueller agreed to stay on.
Mueller agreed to stay on.
Continuity, that's a novel thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird, right?
Yeah.
Well, and by all accounts, from everything that I've seen everybody say about Robert Mueller, his integrity is above reproach.
He quit his law firm so that there would be zero conflict of interest.
Yep.
Which is good, yeah.
I mean, imagine that. Yeah. A government official without a conflict of interest. It's been a long time since we've had that. I mean, all of 6 months.
Well, and apparently, Mueller really respects James Comey and vice versa. They get along well. Mueller was very respected while he was head of the FBI, has a ton of people there who still really like him and think he did a great job.
So hopefully he's a guy that neither side can ding on anything, really.
Well, and when he was confirmed as head of the FBI, it was a unanimous vote in the confirmation hearings. Everybody on both sides of the aisle thinks he's a great guy. So,
well, then he sounds like a good guy to me. Then he sounded pretty good.
I was heartened at when they first announced it. I was like, okay, now I know that he was FBI head for several years. I'm going to go and do some research on him. And everything that I have read online, every news report I've seen of him, every article, they all just think he's a great guy. So very nonpartisan.
Not being paid by Russia.
Yeah. Yeah, non-biased. Well, of course, everybody has bias, but he's very fair.
It's the way to overcoming your own inherent bias to look at the evidence.
Yeah. Special counsel is authorized to subpoena, initiate investigations, and prosecute federal crimes as necessary and appropriate. Jonathan Karl, ABC News chief, tweeted, "The White House was blinded by the special counsel announcement, given only about 30-minute heads up," which I thought was pretty interesting. That he didn't give... I mean, obviously, if Mueller quit his law firm, is coming on as special counsel, this isn't something that is decided in 30 minutes or even a couple hours. This had to have been...
Probably at least a week.
I mean, at least, 2 or 3 days long of first the initial contact with him, negotiations back and forth, then him talking to his family and to work and making that decision.
There's a question of, was Mueller even the first person Rosenstein approached?
True. Yeah, he may not have been.
So I haven't heard one way or the other, but he might not have been.
From the sound of it, that might be just the first person you would go to anyway. Like, hey, who's the previous FBI director that's an upstanding person who knows the FBI, who can get right back into looking at this intelligence?
Yeah, that would have been.
Because you're not just going to take anybody off the street. You're going to take something like, okay, hey, this is going to be looking at some sensitive intelligence. Who do we know that can handle this and do a good job of looking at this and not going to Russia and saying, hey, guess what I heard?
Yeah. But, to be honest, I mean, that tells me something about Rosenstein, too.
I was going to say the same thing.
That, if he's not doing the fucking Novak or whatever his name and running to the White House and filling him in on everything, Nunes.
Yeah. Devin
Nunes. Then it puts a little more faith for me in Rosenstein as acting, Attorney General.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the same thing, that his choice to not only pick a special counsel for this, but his choice of the person to be the special counsel.
Right.
I thought, awesome. He seems to really want to get to the bottom of this.
And not involving the White House in any of those decisions.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, because he didn't want to be fired too.
Well, yeah.
Well, he may still be fired.
Yeah.
He may still be. I mean, the president can fire him.
Yeah. And I think we'll get into that with some more of this information in here. Brad Jaffe, NBC senior news editor, tweeted, quote, "DOJ tells NBC News the White House was informed of the special counsel decision after the order was already signed this afternoon. Former New York prosecutor Preet Bharara, you may remember, who was fired by the Trump administration after they were also investigating ties to Russia, supported the appointment of Mueller. Representative Jason Chaffetz, Republican of Utah, initially said Mueller is a great selection. Impeccable credentials should be widely accepted. Later, on the Tucker Carlson show, he said, quote, I have not seen any evidence of actual collusion. Where's the actual crime that they think they need a special prosecutor to prosecute?
Motherfucker's trying to cover his ass.
Yeah.
And now he quit today, and
yeah.
Yes, I
hope. I don't know if we're going to talk about Chaffetz and what happened today, but
I've heard and seen people refer to Jason Chaffetz as a fucking bag of weasels wearing a human suit.
Yeah,
that seems pretty appropriate. Chaffetz, maybe we can get into him later. Like, he is a garbage.
Yeah.
Political opportunist. Partisan hack bullshit fucker. I don't like that guy at all. Kellyanne Conway abruptly canceled a planned appearance on the Tucker Carlson show. Wonder why. Because then she would have had to have answered questions that I'm sure the president would have backed up entirely and not contradicted in any way whatsoever.
Not at all.
Donald Trump issued a public statement. Quote, as I have stated many times, a thorough investigation will confirm what we already know. There was no collusion between my campaign and a foreign entity.
I am not a crook.
I look forward to this matter concluding quickly. In the meantime, I will never stop fighting for the people and the issues that matter most to the future of our country. That clearly was not written by him, because it doesn't repeat anything.
Well, it has punctuation. Yeah. I mean, it's clear sentence structure. So yeah, it's definitely not him.
It is a continuous stream of
I mean, if it was Trump, I would imagine it would have said collision instead of collusion.
Although I applaud you on the voice, you're getting really good on the Trump impression.
I think being sick maybe helps a little bit. At 6:39 a.m. Thursday, 19th of May, Trump tweeted, "With all the illegal acts that took place in the Clinton campaign and Obama administration, there was never a special counsel appointed." The president tweeted on Thursday. And 12 minutes later, "This is the single greatest witch hunt of a politician in American history."
Wow.
Since Hillary Clinton, since Obama, since Bill Clinton, since...
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a single biggest in the last 6 months. Let's just say.
And isn't it odd how we haven't had a Benghazi or email investigation in the last 6 months? They spent all those billions of dollars. They're so sure she was a criminal, and they just stop.
They just stop.
I don't know what made them stop investigating
Where
her,
are
but...
the investigations on Yemen?
Yeah.
I mean, an American soldier died. Civilians died. A young girl died. Where are the Yemen investigations?
Yeah. No one's investigating it.
Nope.
In a press statement Monday, May 15th, Sean Spicer said the administration felt there was no need for a special prosecutor.
Really?
Well, that's Sean Spicer.
Why?
Spicy.
Yeah.
Well, if the administration says so, then,
Yeah.
I mean, when a crack dealer says, "You don't need to investigate me for dealing crack," well, okay. I mean,
all right, then. We'll just move along.
We'll just move along.
And then he insists that's not his crack in the car.
These are not the droids you're looking for.
Yeah. Sorry, we wasted your time at all. We'll move on to something else. No, I mean, if the administration had absolutely nothing to lose, was 100% innocent, wouldn't they be the first to say, "Fucking do it"?
Yeah.
I'm tired of all of the fucking nonsense surrounding this. I'm tired of this dragging out forever. Let's not even stop at a special counsel. Let's hire a special investigative team to go through this, to get this done as quickly as fucking possible. I'll cooperate in any way that you want. I will testify in public to whatever that I can announce publicly. I want to get this shit over and done with so that we can move on with our agenda to make America great again." Versus firing people who are looking into it, like Preet Bharara.
Yeah.
Like James Comey. And then complaining that a special counsel has been put in place. And then being caught in lie after lie after lie after fucking lie.
I don't know how these people can be as talking people or putting out. If I was my job to talk for the president right now, I'd be like, "Fuck you." Like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what the fuck to say.
Well, not just so Comey, Bharara, and what's her name?
That's right. Yates.
Yates. And Yates.
Yeah. Just getting rid of anybody who seems to want to investigate into this. And
exactly.
Yeah. Unconfirmed report that Mueller met with Rosenstein the day after Comey was fired.
That I had not heard until I just read it right here. And I'm not surprised at all. I'm curious whether Rosenstein contacted Mueller or Mueller contacted Rosenstein.
That would be interesting to note also.
I'm wondering who reached out to who first.
Well, and that's particularly interesting because
Rosenstein had only been on the job a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I don't know what his background is.
Well, so the timeline goes, just a real quick timeline breakdown while we're going through these dates and everything. Comey's fired on the 9th. Rosenstein comes out on the 12th, 3 days later, and says that he sees no need for a special counsel. And then on the 17th, he announces that he's hired a special counsel.
Yeah.
So 5 days after saying he doesn't think that there's a need for one, and we can get into more of that later, but I mean, there's just such a short window of time between Comey being fired, Rosenstein saying he doesn't need or want a special counsel right now, and then announcing that not only has he decided to do one, but it's fucking done. He's found a guy. The guy has quit his other job. He's going to be taking over, and he didn't mention this to the White House at all until 30 minutes before he made the announcement that this is a done fucking deal.
So I'm wondering this. This is speculation coming off the top of my head right now. Rosenstein is new on the job. I don't know his background or anything like that. I'm wondering, but I know Mueller's background, and he has a lot of experience.
Oh yeah,
and he's very. I wonder if Mueller reached out to Rosenstein and had a sit down with him and said, "This shit's fucked up. here's what you need to do. I'm willing to help out. If you want to treat the American people right and the country right and do right by the law and the Constitution, all that, here's what you should do.
If you want to go down in history as a national hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Mueller kind of talked Rosenstein into doing the right thing.
That could be. I don't know. That sounds really plausible.
Total speculation. I don't know.
I also wonder if Rosenstein said we don't need a special investigation because he wanted to keep it in the dark. He didn't want to alert the White House, hey, this is coming down.
Yeah, he didn't want to.
Or did he say that because he was being pressured by Trump?
Yeah.
So many things. I don't know that he would. Well, I mean,
I don't know his background. I don't know Rosenstein very well.
I wouldn't say that he would have said that because he was being pressured by Trump, because he announced a special prosecutor or special counsel without contacting the White House at all.
But I wonder if that was because of Mueller talking to him.
That could be. Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah,
Friday, May 12th, CNN reported that sources close to Rosenstein said he didn't see a need for a special prosecutor, quote, at that point, and that he wasn't, quote, inclined to make a change unless and this is important, inclined to make a change unless the FBI investigation appears to be imperiled.
Well, and Comey being fired
did exactly that.
Well, but I mean, this was 3 days after Comey was fired, and he's saying that he doesn't see a need for a special prosecutor unless the FBI investigation appears to be imperiled. So this is 3 days after Comey is fired.
Yeah, okay.
And only 3 days or 5 days before he announces that Mueller is going to be the special counsel. These dates these dates are all close together.
Maybe he had Mueller waiting in the wings and was looking through all the paperwork. Like, hey, I'm going to make sure I look through everything first and then decide, hey, yep, we need to do this.
Or maybe on May 12th when he made that statement, maybe he was thinking in the back of his head that this is imperiled, but he didn't want to make a public statement at that time.
Possibly.
Until he had a solution to the problem. Maybe he didn't want to inflame the situation by saying, "Oh, Comey was fired. We're in trouble."
Well, but then you can just give a hand wave and say, "I don't know. We'll have to see where the information takes us."
True,
whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, he said he didn't see the need for one at that point, unless the FBI investigation appears to be imperiled. So I don't know. That seems very telling or ominous. Like
it does
a bit of foreshadowing, maybe that. Yes, the FBI investigation was imperiled, and so we need to bring in a special counsel.
20 years from now, when everyone writes their tell-all books and we find out what everyone knows, we'll have to recap this episode.
It's an exciting time to be alive, right? Like, this is historic shit.
It is historic shit, but we're really not going to know the whole truth for a really long time.
I'm surprised you're saying 20 years. I give it a few months after he's out of office.
Do you guys know? And I could be wrong. So, but I'm going with my best information on this that I can recall with a sick brain. Do you guys know how many presidents have gone through an impeachment process?
2
in the history of the United States.
I thought it was just 2.
Grant, do you know?
I know of only one that went through the process, but never actually. I mean, Clinton. It's the only one I know of.
There were 2.
Ryan
wasn't like okay. I'm trying to think of who the first was an older. I want to say
Andrew Jackson.
Yeah, I was thinking Andrew Jackson.
Andrew Jackson, and then Bill Clinton.
Jackson was impeached.
Yeah,
was he fully impeached?
No,
Jackson.
Yeah,
I thought they both went through the whole impeachment process, but then had the acquitted because it takes fewer votes for the.
It takes 2/3 vote to actually remove them from office
in both houses.
Yeah, so.
And that's where they fucked up with Clinton.
Yeah, so they both went through the impeachment process, but remained in office because they didn't get the votes in Congress to actually remove them from office. So
Clinton got the votes in the House, if I remember right.
I don't know,
but not in the Senate, or maybe the other way around. He got enough votes in one of the houses of Congress, but not the other, and that's why it failed.
I would say if that's the case, so it would have been the House because that was when Gingrich was in control of the House,
and the House the House initiates an impeachment,
and he was whipped up into a furor,
yeah,
about the president,
having a blowjob,
doing these things while Newt Gingrich is fucking somebody else while his wife is dying.
Yeah.
God damn it. No, but neither president was removed from office. The only other president to face the possibility of being impeached was Richard Nixon.
Yeah.
But he resigned before the articles of impeachment were actually filed and reviewed because he knew the writing was on the wall. Like everybody by that time, everybody knew you're done. Like he would have been the first president to have been removed from office.
Which is where a young lawyer named Hillary Rodham Clinton came onto the scene.
Yes.
And people are saying that this shit is going to be worse than Watergate, possibly.
I think it will.
I think it very well could be, yeah.
I hope that Donald Trump will be the first president in the history of the United States to be removed from office. I hope he's thrown in fucking prison.
That's why you said president, and I'm like, wait.
And the part of Nixon resigning before he could actually be impeached and removed from office, then you get fucking
Pence.
No, the president immediately after Nixon, who Ford. You get Gerald Ford in there, who then pardons Nixon.
Yeah. And pardons a whole bunch of the people who were convicted.
Yeah, so that would be something that I would be very angry about, is if Donald Trump is impeached and or Pence is then impeached, or Trump is impeached and then Pence pardons him, and he goes on his merry way and continues fucking everybody over for billions of dollars.
Well, and this is a much larger topic, but so an impeachment isn't going to put him in jail.
No.
That just throw him out of office.
Yeah.
And there's a big constitutional question about whether a president can even be indicted. And so I went back and did a whole lot of the reading that was going on during the Clinton thing about whether a president can be indicted. And nobody actually knows if that's constitutional. It might not be constitutional. In a government based on co-equal branches of government, can one branch of the government imprison the head of another branch of the government? No one actually knows. And until the Supreme Court, I mean, how the fuck would that work? Trump walking around with
ankle
monitor on, I mean, how does that work? They're co-equal branches. The president we all want to think that we're all not above the law.
The
president kind of is in a lot of cases. And it's going to take the Supreme Court to decide, which they never have, whether a president can be indicted or not.
But
he can be thrown out.
As president, maybe he can't be indicted. Because if he gets impeached,
he can
then
be
they
indicted
can take a
after
criminal.
He's thrown out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is the cover that Nixon got, because he was just pardoned before he could even be indicted for anything. So,
like if treason, does come up in this whole thing with Russia, hey, that's death.
But again, even after you're thrown out of office, can you be indicted for acts you performed as president?
If they're bad enough, I would think so. Well, but the thing is some of these acts that he did weren't as president; they were before he was president.
Well, and there's that too. So it's a big constitutional kind of mess.
Because it's never happened.
It's never happened, and the Constitution.
That's right, Republicans. You voted in somebody who's doing shit so badly it's never fucking happened in the history of our republic.
The Constitution's mute on it. The Founding Fathers are mute on it. They are fairly clear that the president is above the law in a whole lot of aspects. So it's nobody fucking knows.
Yeah.
They talked about this under Clinton a whole lot, and they never had to do anything about it. So
because you can't go to jail for a blowjob.
Depends. Is it a really terrible blowjob?
Well, then that's not you going to jail.
She was kind of cute. I mean, she.
So on the 12th, when Rosenstein said that he wasn't inclined to make a change unless the FBI investigation appears to be imperiled, at that time the investigation was led by Dana Boente, U.S. Attorney in Alexandria, Virginia. The two spoke at a closed-door meeting May 11th to the Senate Intelligence Committee on the investigation. and how they plan to work with the panel. Their goal was to deconflict their investigation with the investigations of the committee and to pass information of interviews and documents. On Wednesday, the 17th of May, Rosenstein said, on the other hand, quote, he believes a special counsel is necessary in order for the American people to have full confidence in the outcome.
Agreed.
Quote, in my capacity as acting attorney general, I determined that it is in the public interest for me to exercise my authority and appoint a special counsel to assume responsibility for this matter. Rosenstein said in a statement, adding that the decision is, quote, not a finding that crimes have been committed or that any prosecution is warranted. So he's saying, we don't know this yet, but I'm appointing a special counsel to look into this kind of stuff. Me appointing a special counsel isn't saying that something has definitely happened, but we're going to look into it.
I like the way he chooses his words with that, though.
Yes, he seems to be very well spoken, unlike
and very
our dipshit in chief.
And very cautious.
Yeah.
Quote, what I have determined is that based upon the unique circumstances, the public interest requires me to place this investigation under the authority of a person who exercises a degree of independence from the normal chain of command. Which also seems like if you read into that, it sounds like he feels as if anybody who is within the normal chain of command would feel undue pressure from other people in the chain of command.
Yeah.
Where we see Donald Trump talking to Michael Flynn, or talking to James Comey, telling him to drop the investigation into Michael Flynn. Where we see the administration putting pressure on people who are supposed to be doing their jobs in a nonpartisan, fair-minded, and with justice in mind while carrying out their jobs, and having undue influence placed on them from the administration.
Another thing I was thinking of when this whole week was going on, didn't Trump say something while running for president that we don't want a president that will be under investigation all the time?
Yeah.
He sure did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he was saying right there, don't vote for me.
Trump cannot directly interfere with the special counsel, but he can ask the DOJ, Department of Justice, or the Attorney General to fire the special prosecutor. If they refuse to fire him, Trump can fire attorneys general until one steps up willing to do it. This is what Nixon tried during Watergate, which was also known as the Saturday Night Massacre.
Right. Well, in that case, Nixon wanted the AG to fire. The AG wouldn't do it, and the AG resigned. And then he went to the assistant AG. The
deputy AG, yeah.
The deputy, he wouldn't do it, and he resigned.
Yep.
And a whole bunch of people resigned until he got to some file clerk or some shit like that in the DOJ. Finally, all the way down, who finally would fire the prosecutor.
Yeah. It's crazy. We have the actual letter here. Excuse me. We have the actual letter that is from Rosenstein talking about the appointment of the special counsel. This says order number 3915-2017.
That's a lot of orders given out this year already.
Appointment of special counsel to investigate Russian interference with the 2016 presidential election and related matters. By virtue of the authority vested in me as acting attorney general, including 28 U.S.C. 509, 510, and 515, in order to discharge my responsibility to provide supervision and management of the duties of justice, and to ensure a full and thorough investigation of the Russian government's efforts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election, I hereby order as follows. A. Robert S. Mueller III is appointed to serve as special counsel for the United States Department of Justice. The special counsel is authorized to conduct the investigation confirmed by then FBI Director James Comey in testimony before the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence on March 20th, 2017, including any links and or coordination between the Russian government and individuals associated with the campaign of President Donald Trump, and any matters that arose or may arise directly from the investigation, and any other matters within the scope of 28 CFR 600.4.
A?
A.
Yeah.
If
I'll look that up for you.
If the special counsel believes it is necessary and appropriate, the special counsel is authorized to prosecute federal crimes arising from the investigation of these matters. Sections 600.4 through 600.10 of Title 28 of the Code of Federal Regulations are applicable to the special counsel.
So it says right in there that, if they find that he is committed a federal crime, that they can charge him with that federal crime.
But and that's true. But that's also
new territory.
That's also one of the problems with his appointment. Well, and it's a question whether a president can even be charged with a federal crime.
Yeah.
So that's a whole question mark. But in the scope of the order, and that's been a big question mark about appointing a prosecutor versus an independent commission, like a 9/11 commission.
Yeah.
Is that one, they're only looking for crimes. Have crimes been committed, federal crimes been committed? Whereas an independent commission would be looking for crimes, but would be looking at a larger scope. And the concern about just having a special prosecutor is that the scope is more narrow.
Okay.
To just criminal activity rather than a broader scope of, it may not be criminal, but this is fucking wrong.
Unethical, at least, right?
I mean, Trump sharing classified information with the Russians is not necessarily a federal crime. He can declassify shit left and right.
As the president, that's within his purview. Right?
It is.
That doesn't make it right.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where an independent commission would have been better than this. Second, the prosecutor is not required to release any findings to the public. They're required to report privately to Congress, but not to the public. And he could go on for a year and a half, and then just fall silent, and we'll never know anything. Whereas a 9/11
rabble.
Whereas a 9/11 style commission, there's just a whole lot more, bipartisan,
a lot more
transparency to it.
Well, wasn't it James Comey
that's one
said
of the
that
concerns about the two dynamics?
Which I wonder if is why James Comey said, yes, I will talk, to a counsel or whatever, if it is publicly televised or in the public space where it is public knowledge of what I say. Like, it's not going to be behind closed doors. It's not going to be a secret meeting.
Yeah, Comey said he wanted to speak
the public.
Publicly. Yeah. All right. Let's take a quick break here. And on the other side, we'll talk a little bit more about a side story that hasn't been getting as much attention as it probably deserves, because it's pretty fucking scary in its own right.
Yeah.
And it ties back into all of it. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Lloyd Evans. I'm a former Jehovah's Witness. I'm the author of The Reluctant Apostate and senior editor of jwsurvey.org, and you are listening to the Godless Rebelution.
Here follows a public service announcement for the Two Skeptical Chaps podcast. Greetings, Americans. Over here in London, we are well aware that not all of you are loud, xenophobic, racist, sexist, religious nuts.
But many of your politicians who display these frightful traits seem to be quite popular.
Particularly a certain wall-obsessed, small-handed, best-word-using, daughter-perving, war-inciting, candy-floss-headed clown.
To those of you who choose to follow such balderdash, we strongly recommend not to listen to the Two Skeptical Chaps.
It probably won't be your cup of tea.
Otherwise, give us a listen.
Each episode, we cover any news or current affairs from across the globe.
Things that annoy or delight us.
That's two, as in the number 2.
And skeptical with a K.
The wrong way to spell it. Cheerio.
Thanks for listening. Now back to the show.
Okay, so did you guys see this stuff about Kevin McCarthy and what they said during a private Republican meeting?
No, I missed the whole McCarthy thing.
You've not seen this? Oh,
I saw it.
I did.
And I heard the article said there's audio recordings of this, and the shit is so fucking crazy that I'm like, I don't know if I believe this 100% until I get to hear the actual fucking audio recordings.
Well, we'll get into a little bit of. So, anyway, this story has not gotten, I think, as much attention as it otherwise would have, just because of all of the other Trump bullshit that's been going on. But there's a article in the Washington Post that says that Kevin McCarthy says, quote, Putin pays Trump, as a joke, basically, or maybe, possibly. That's not really been determined yet. Paul Ryan shut him down, according to the recording of the June 15th, 2016 exchange, which was listened to and verified by reporters at the Washington Post. A month before Donald Trump clinched the Republican nomination, one of his closest allies in Congress, House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy, Republican from California, said, quote, there's two people I think Putin pays, Rohrabacher and Trump. Some of the lawmakers laughed at McCarthy's comment. Then McCarthy quickly added, quote, swear to God. So you guys may remember Kevin McCarthy as, the asshole who, during the lead up to the votes,
election?
Yeah, during the election. Jesus Christ. Sorry, I'm getting foggy. During the election, Kevin McCarthy was the one who came out and said, well, yeah, we're using Benghazi and these investigations against Hillary Clinton.
Right.
Yeah.
Look at where her numbers have gone since we've been doing all of this. And all of the Republicans are like, you're not supposed to say that out loud, jackass! And they started freaking out. This was at the time when they were also looking for a new Speaker of the House, because the other orange clown that was in there previously, John Boehner, had decided to leave because he was tired of putting up with the bullshit. So he's leaving. They're looking for a new Speaker of the House. Nobody really was getting all of the attention in order to do that. Kevin McCarthy was one of the front runners until he said that stupid shit about Hillary Clinton, where he basically accidentally told the truth.
Yeah.
He accidentally told the truth, and his Republican colleagues freaked the fuck out and said, well, now you can't be Speaker of the House, jackass. So then you had Jason Chaffetz and a few other people throw their hat in the ring, and Jason Chaffetz is so disliked even within the House that everybody was like, no, we need somebody else. And they all begged Paul Ryan to do it. Paul Ryan stepped up and said, okay, I'll do it with these stipulations and rules that my family comes first.
Yeah.
I'm going to do, I'm not going to make this my one thing that I do in my entire life.
Funny that he would say family comes first. Yeah, he doesn't agree that there should be maternity leave for women or men.
No, well, see, his family comes first.
Right.
And he makes enough money and has, medical coverage. So,
well, and he only works, 5 days a year?
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to worry about that. It's everybody else's family, and they'll fuck them, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's who Kevin McCarthy is. And so he's the guy who, in 2016, during the election cycle, after Trump had all but clinched the nomination, said that there are two people who Putin pays. One of them is, I believe her name is Dana Rohrabacher, and the other is Trump. House Speaker Paul Ryan immediately interjected, stopping the conversation from further exploring McCarthy's assertion, and swore the Republicans present to secrecy. Ryan instructed his Republican lieutenants to keep the conversation private, saying, quote, no leaks. This is how we know we're a real family here. I'm doing an Italian thing because this sounds pretty fucking mafia-esque.
It does.
That's how you know that we're right. That's how you know that we're tight.
Right and tight.
Scalisi said, which is a very Italian name.
Yes.
What's said in
who's the Godfather in Trump's the Godfather. So is he the?
These are made men.
One of the lieutenants.
Yeah.
What's said in the family stays in the family. Paul Ryan added. Oh yeah, it is Dana Rohrabacher. So Representative Dana Rohrabacher is a California Republican known in Congress as a fervent defender of Putin and Russia. When initially asked to comment on the exchange, Brendan Buck, a spokesman for Ryan, said, quote, and this fucking pisses me off so bad. He says, quote, that never happened. And Matt Sparks, a spokesman for McCarthy, said, the idea that McCarthy would assert this is absurd and false. And they say this until, wait for it, the Washington Post reporter says, so, what if I told you we had recordings where they did exactly that?
Yeah.
So after being told that the Post would cite a recording of the exchange, Buck, speaking for the GOP House leadership, said, this entire year-old exchange was clearly an attempt at humor. No one believed the majority leader was seriously asserting that Donald Trump or any of our members were being paid by the Russians. What's more, the Speaker and leadership team have repeatedly spoken out against Russia's interference in our election, and the House continues to investigate that activity.
Not really.
I said good day, sir.
Not really.
So first he says that never happened.
Yeah.
It's absurd that you would even say that, and then they say, well, we have a recording. He's like, oh, well,
it was a joke.
Well, clear, then he launches into this large diatribe about how, well, clearly it was just an attempt at humor. Okay, well, which was it? Were you just fucking lying to me when I said, did this happen? And you said, no, that's a lie. It's totally false. It's absurd. You got all fucking indignant about it. And then I said, well, I have a recording. And you're like, oh, well, now let me be indignant, but for a different reason. Fuck these assholes.
And if I'm not mistaken, they're the ones that refuse to believe anything about Russia having anything to do with the election and saying investigation wasn't needed.
Yeah. Why would we need an investigation? You guys are going to find out where we're hiding all of the money. It's just a waste of time. It's a waste of taxpayers' time and money. We need to get on to the business of making America great again.
And by great, I mean filling my pocket with money.
Tax cuts for the wealthy.
Yeah. Other important news. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kelly jokes on a hot mic that Trump should, quote, use that on the press, sir, referring to the ceremonial saber Trump had just received at the Coast Guard cadet graduation.
This was like yesterday.
Uh-huh. Yes. Trump also used his speech to say, look at the way I've been treated lately, especially by the media. No politician in history, and I say this with great surety, has been treated worse or more unfairly.
Bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Kennedy and Lincoln are like sitting up in their grave right now, like, what the fuck did that motherfucker just say?
Speaking of the press, Trump asks the FBI director more aggressively to pursue journalists who report on leaks, despite the fact that reporting on classified information already leaked is not a crime, even though leaking it in the first place is. So they're not going after the leakers, they want to go after the press for reporting the leak.
Yeah.
Quote, the real danger, which got far less attention, was that Trump might use the draconian 100-year-old Espionage Act to target reporters with prosecution for publishing classified information. Less than 6 months into his presidency, we now have reason to believe this is a distinct possibility. Guardian.com analysis by Trevor Timm.
But, I mean, realistically, I mean, that might work in the short term. I mean, he might be able to imprison a few reporters in the short term and shit like that. And to be honest, I mean, those reporters would wear that as a badge of fucking honor.
Oh, hell yeah, I would.
But in the long term, it's not going to work.
No.
Well,
I mean, the judiciary is going to check him on this. And it's not going to work.
You know what's really interesting about that is you're kind of fucked if you do and you're fucked if you don't, right? Because if a reporter comes out and says, I have information that says this about this person, I have information about X. And the president comes out and says, well, you've just leaked classified information. We're going to put you in jail. Okay, well now, dumbass, you've just confirmed everything that I've reported.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You just fucking confirmed that everything I said is true. Otherwise, there'd be no reason to imprison me.
Right.
Ooh, but then there's a catch-22.
But then the other side of that is, okay, well then if you're in the press, you can say whatever the fuck you want. And if the president doesn't throw you in jail, it's like, okay, well, is he not throwing me in jail because he doesn't want to confirm that that's the truth, or
it's really not true?
Yeah.
But I mean, in the second case, other press is going to push back on. So, I mean, the Washington Post some reporter at the Post can just put out some bullshit,
right,
unconfirmed or whatever. But the Times or the Boston Herald or somebody is going to pick that up and try to confirm that and find they can't. So that reporter is going to be checked by other media organizations.
True.
So that's where the check there comes in.
No, yeah, and you're absolutely right, and I'm glad you both picked up on that, because that's why they wouldn't end up going to jail for that case.
Yeah.
But so anybody that he does choose to throw in jail, that is just confirming that they have reported the absolute truth.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's no reason to jail them, right? I mean,
and they just pocketed a Pulitzer Prize at that point. I mean, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, they'll be out. I mean, it's, fucking country club jail, and they'll be out, and they'll have a Pulitzer Prize.
They get $300,000 for a Pulitzer Prize nowadays?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take it.
Write the ticket at that point. So, yeah.
Speaking of leaked classified information, Trump leaks information about an ISIS operation intending to use a laptop bomb to down an airplane to the Russian chief spy and ambassador to the U.S. in the Oval Office.
Which they're not supposed to be in there. You don't let Russian spies in the Oval Office, you fucking nitwit.
Oh, yes, I have several cough drops that I will just place at strategic locations around the office, okay? In case I have cough later.
No joke. So you saw them ask his man, Trump's guy, say, "Hey, so did the Russians plant any bugs in the Oval Office?" And his response was, "I don't know."
It doesn't really matter. We tell them everything anyway. But why would they have to plant any bugs? That seems silly.
Did you see Putin joking about it?
Oh,
I saw that. I can't remember if I saw it this morning or last night. Putin was joking with a bunch of his people, talking like, they all think that we Trump gave us all this intel and stuff and blah, blah, blah. He goes, you know what's really wrong? He should have given us that intel. Bad guy.
Oh, jeez.
I missed that one. I mean, there was a Kislyak or whatever his name joking about the Comey firing.
Yeah, this was over in Russia with Putin at a desk with all of his people around it.
Yeah, I missed that one.
So what was it Putin said?
He said, let me find it right here. That's not what Putin said. I moved my finger on my phone, which then moved the words in a different spot. There we go. I found it again. So what he actually said was, I spoke to Lavrov today, Putin said with a smile. I'll be forced to issue him with a reprimand because he did not share these secrets with us, nor with me, nor with representatives of Russia's intelligence service. It was very bad of him.
Oh, very bad, Lavrov. We'll spank you later.
I still believe he told him everything.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
But then again, why do you have to tell him anything? Because he's just listening out in the fucking van across the street.
With all of the cough drops that have been left strategically throughout the office. But when Trump,
that's where he might be going.
When Trump leaked that information about the ISIS operation, about using a laptop bomb to down an airplane, which is why they've started saying that they're going to restrict all of these European flights, that people can't use their laptops. Allegedly, the source of the intel was Israel, and the human source of the intel could be in serious danger because one could deduce the agent knowing the city and intelligence, both of which Donald fucking Trump spilled the beans on.
So they say he can tell them whatever they want. It's like, no, because Russia may have 99 of the 100 pieces, and guess what you just gave them? The final piece to their puzzle. Go, okay, that confirms what we know. Now we know so-and-so in Syria is doing this shit with fucking ISIS. Let's kill his ass.
Trump then attempted to defend himself, saying he had the authority to declassify at any time, and that the information was given for humanitarian purposes.
Bullshit.
What kind of humanitarian purposes would that serve?
If Russia didn't know by now that ISIS was going to be using electronic devices that you take onto a plane to create bombs, their intelligence service sucks.
General McMaster's national security advisor defended Trump, essentially saying Trump wasn't aware the information was classified. What?
How the fuck? I mean, he's the president of you.
So McMaster's is saying, no, it's okay. It's fine. It's because he's stupid.
He's so fucking incompetent.
Our president is so dumb and incompetent, like Grant said. He didn't mean to. He's just that stupid. Come on, give him a break.
He's that young child. They didn't know the stove was hot, even though you told them the stove was hot, yet they still put their fucking hand on the stove.
And of course, McMaster's statement obviously conflicts with Trump's defense that he can declassify whatever he wants at any time.
Well, and technically he can.
He can.
But again, I mean, these resources that he's revealing to the Russians, I mean, what everyone keeps forgetting is that while we and the Russians are against ISIS, we're both against ISIS. Russia is also pals with Iran and with Syria. Yep. And these resources in the Middle East that Trump is revealing to Russia are also being used to spy on Iran and Syria.
It's like, don't forget the base that we bombed in Syria was a Russian fucking air base.
Okay. I didn't know that was Russian.
The Russians, they got their planes out.
Oh, okay. I hadn't heard that was
Russia was using that airstrip.
Oh, okay.
Well, but was it a Russian? I mean, it's still a Syrian air base.
It's still a Syrian air base being used by the Russians.
Okay, being used by the Russians.
So it's technically, it's under, well, the Russians are using it's occupied by the Russians.
Right, okay,
It's the same thing as like, oh, we have a bunch of air bases in Iraq now that used to be Saddam's.
Right, okay. That makes sense, yeah.
2 days ago, on Tuesday, May 16th, Trump meets with Turkish President Erdogan the same day that Erdogan's bodyguards assaulted U.S. protesters at the Turkish embassy.
If you haven't seen the video,
there was no statement from the White House.
Yeah.
No. And if you haven't seen the video of that, you should look it up.
It's fucking crazy.
It's fucking psycho.
I will be sure
on
to post
American
a link to
soil.
it.
This isn't like Turkish embassy soil.
No, yeah, this is in America.
I mean, in the Turkish embassy, it's Turkish soil.
Yeah.
It's not American soil when you're on embassy grounds.
Right. This was across the fucking street.
But this was across the street on American soil.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
And it's like 30 minutes of Erdogan's people out there just beating the shit out of protesters.
Which those protesters have every right to protest.
And DC police out there trying to break it up.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I watched the video the whole time. I'm like, holy shit. Holy shit. How do you stop this? Like, all of Erdogan's people are going to be like, diplomatic immunity. We're going to beat the shit out of these people.
Then they learn, like, no, sorry, your president has immunity.
Well, and they've got these poor people.
They probably do.
They probably do.
You know, there are these older people that they like punch and hit. They're down on the ground, and Erdogan's guys are just fucking kicking him in the face. And I mean, just beating the shit out of these people.
And they were Turkish immigrants.
Yeah. Who do not agree with Erdogan's policies in Turkey and were there to protest. And so Erdogan sent his guys out to beat the shit out of them in America.
Yeah.
Your diplomatic immunity doesn't prevent me from kicking you in the nuts.
Well, and this happens in America when Trump was set to meet with Erdogan. And there's nothing from the White House about this. They make no statement at all about Erdogan's people beating the shit out of these people in America.
American citizens on American soil.
Yep.
It's fucking nuts. I will be sure to post a link to that video out on the Godless Rebelution Facebook page. Protesters outside the Turkish embassy protested Erdogan's policies, and the protest became violent as Erdogan's personal guard sprinted past the police line and began savagely beating protesters. The Turkish State News Agency said the security team did so because U.S. policies failed to stop an unauthorized protest. Not your fucking country to decide that shit.
Yeah.
11 Americans were injured, of which 9 were hospitalized.
And here's the thing in America. You don't have to get authorization to protest.
No. I mean,
it depends on how many people you have.
It depends on the situation. Yeah.
Additionally, 2 Secret Service agents were assaulted in the melee, according to the New York Times. The State Department condemned the attack as an assault on free speech and warned Turkey that the action would not be tolerated. Quote, "We are communicating our concern to the Turkish government in the strongest possible terms," said Heather Nauert, a State Department spokesperson.
Please, Mr. Erdogan, can you not beat up on our citizens?
Will not be tolerated now that it's over and done and 9 people are hospitalized. Trump, who was meeting with Erdogan that day, has not made a statement at all. Even since then, nothing.
My name is Dr. Karen Garst. I am the author of Women Beyond Belief, Discovering Life Without Religion. I also have a blog at www.faithlessfeminist.com. You can find me on Facebook at Faithless Feminist, And Twitter, I'm at Karen_Garst. And you are listening to the Godless Rebelution.
Don't you sometimes feel sad about breaking all these myths apart?
No, because I think it's some myths are deserve to be broken apart out of respect for the human intellect. That no, when you're writhing on the ground and froth is coming out of your mouth, you're having an epileptic seizure. You have not been invaded by the devil. We got this one figured out, okay?
Thank you to everybody who has rated the show on iTunes and Stitcher and are following us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And to all our Patreon patrons, you make the show possible.
Speaking of Turkey,
Flynn.
General Michael Flynn, disgraced general, fired general twice.
Yeah.
ISIS attacked Turkey and lobbying. And then there's links to stuff here. That I'll post links to the articles maybe.
This stuff is hot off the press.
Then the Flynn affair gets worse. Flynn's lawyers have indicated that they do not intend to honor the Senate Intelligence Panel subpoena.
Oh, I heard about that.
This means if Congress takes action, he could go to jail until the subpoenaed documents are surrendered. This means that his lawyers, or he, must have assessed that he would rather risk jail by contempt than face the consequences of releasing the documents.
There must be something bad in them.
Well, and Flynn has come out and through his attorneys said that he has a story to tell and he wants to tell it, but he wants to do so under immunity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so if he doesn't get immunity and they just are trying to subpoena these documents, he's like, probably I'd go to jail anyway, so I might as well go and not give you the documents. That seems to be, I mean, that's my take on this, right, is that he figures he's going to go to jail either way unless he's granted immunity, right. So why would he turn over documents that would only be more incriminating than just go to jail and not give them the documents?
It's like, I'd rather go to cushy jail than go to break rocks jail.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's like rolling craps with a situation like this. Is that, does he really know anything, or is he just saying this to get the immunity and then he doesn't actually have anything? I'm more on the side that Flynn knows something.
I am too.
Oh yeah.
I'm thinking if anything really kind of puts a final nail in the coffin of Trump, it's going to be something Flynn knows.
Well, I think he knows something, and he's implicit in the thing that he knows.
And he's probably implicit in it.
And that's why...
Complicit, yeah.
Complicit in it. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm oftentimes kind of reticent about kind of giving immunity to somebody like Flynn, but I don't know. In this case,
it might be worth it.
It might be worth it. I mean, he's already disgraced. He's already out. He'll never. So
he's got enough money to live the rest of his life out.
Yeah, and he probably won't go to jail for anything he did one way or the other. So,
but then the question is how bad is this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I killed 14 people with my bare hands.
So Trump could take a bath.
Yeah.
With their blood.
The blood.
By the way, they were infants.
The New York Times reports that Flynn told transition team, which was led by Pence, that he knew he was being investigated for his secret work for a Turkish lobbying firm with dark money trails to Russia on January 4th. This means the transition team knew far earlier than they initially reported.
Which this then puts in Pence in a rough spot.
Uh-huh.
However, and I just checked on my phone just like 5 minutes ago, headline on CNN is that Pence was kept in the dark about Flynn and his history. I didn't read the whole article, so... I mean, this shit's changing every fucking 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Well, and what's weird is that, or not weird, I guess it's not weird, we should come to expect it by this time, but everything that we're told from people in the Trump administration is contradicted by somebody else in the Trump administration, generally by the president himself, or through other news reporting, and then the administration has to backtrack and say, oh yeah, well, okay, yeah, there's that, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that, but. Let's try to mitigate that now or explain it away with a but. Well, sure, that happened, but. And it doesn't hold water. What you have not seen happen at all in any of this reporting is any of the reporting saying something bad went down and then later being proven false.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
You've only seen it go the other way.
Nothing has been proven false.
Yeah. You've only seen it go the other way.
Even that fucking dossier. I mean, the dossier came out last year.
With the pee-pee play?
With the pee-pee play and all that. And everyone just kind of wrote it off and said, oh, it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. But point by point, things in it are being proved true.
Right.
Not everything yet, but nothing that I know of in the dossier has been proven false.
Right.
Has been proven false.
Yeah.
It's all just one point after another been proven true.
Mm-hmm. Which is why I'm still waiting for a Russian hooker with a strong bladder to come.
God, I know. Don't you? I mean, the money she would make if she would release that shit. I mean, she would be wealthy.
Pornhub would pay her a ton of money just to reshoot that scene.
Oh, no shit. How the fuck, in all of this, how the fuck does Pence come out as the honorable, clean-cut guy who was just kept in the dark, knew nothing about anything? He's the only decent guy in this entire story. Who apparently...
Well, by comparison, I mean...
Who supposedly hasn't done anything wrong so far that I'm aware of. He was either lied to or kept in the dark or whatever. So he's coming out of this clean. He's the only decent guy in this entire story. And it's fucking Pence. Pence is a fucking asshole.
According to the narrative so far, but I would bet that a lot of that narrative is bullshit.
Well, it very well might be.
Pence led the transition team, and the transition team knew about Michael Flynn's bullshit back on January 4th.
But again, I mean, now it's coming out, and again, I haven't read the whole story, but even though Pence led the transition team, he was kept in the dark about Flynn.
Huh.
And if that's true, then...
Well, then how fucking incompetent is Pence?
Or
there's that too. So.
Or are they keeping Pence in the dark on certain issues so they know when Trump gets out of office they can still keep Pence in? Yeah.
Is it plausible deniability because Pence was always the backup plan to begin with?
I don't know, man.
Like they knew they were fucked
How
in the
deep
beginning.
into conspiratorial waters would we like to tread?
With this one, I don't think you have to go very far.
Well, speaking of Pence filed to make his own leadership PAC, the Great America Committee. The FEC filing for the Great America Committee offers few details about how Pence intends to use it, other than saying the committee supports/opposes more than one federal candidate. The PAC will be run by former Pence senior campaign advisor Nick Ayers and has been in the works since December, according to Bloomberg News, which first reported the story Wednesday. Pence's new Great America Committee appears to have no connection to the similarly named Great America PAC formed last year by supporters of then-candidate Donald Trump. That PAC was apparently formed with no feedback from candidate Trump and was disavowed by his campaign, according to the Wall Street Journal.
So Pence has been getting ready to take over the office since December.
Well, speaking of Pence's chances at the White House, on Wednesday, May 17th, yesterday, Representative Al Green of Texas, Democrat, called for President Trump to be impeached from the House floor on Wednesday morning, accusing the president of obstruction of justice. This is the first person in Congress to say within Congress publicly that the president needs to be impeached. He said, quote, "I rise today with a sense of responsibility and duty to the people who have elected me, a sense of duty to this country, a sense of duty to the Constitution of the United States of America," he began. "I rise today, Mr. Speaker, to call for the impeachment of the President of the United States of America for obstruction of justice. There is a belief in this country that no one is above the law, and that includes the President of the United States of America."
Yeah.
It's true, though the president can kind of make himself above the law.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that he's exempted from by nature of him just being the president.
Yeah.
But
he's
not exempt from being a douche.
No, that kind of
But I mean, we knew that when he was elected.
True.
It's an inextricable quality of him.
So we can't impeach him for douchery.
Well, I mean, technically, you can impeach for pretty much anything. So, technically speaking, yeah, you could.
I know what I would have said on the House floor.
What would you have said on the House floor?
Oh, I'm impeaching him for douchery.
For douchery?
Yeah.
He has a fiduciary responsibility.
Yes.
May 17th, yesterday, Representative Justin Amash, Republican of Mississippi?
Or is that No. Michigan's MN.
I think it's Mississippi.
Mississippi. My brain is clouded, man. I'm telling you.
I mean, it could be,
like I'm looking at that going.
Could be Missouri. It could be Mississippi. It could be.
Yeah, it's kind of like, how do you get 8K out of Alaska?
Island. Is that what that stands
I haven't
for?
been in 7th grade civics for a long time, so.
Co-sponsored a bill to establish an independent commission to investigate Russia's role in the election. This was voted for by House Democrats and one Republican, Jones, Republican from North Carolina. Amash voted against his own bill, seeing it wouldn't pass, likely a procedural move that would allow him to bring the legislation back up for discussion according to House rules. Even more from the House. New Hampshire representative who created and moderated Reddit's Red Pill forum resigns. What a beta cuck. He's not an alpha, definitely a beta cuck. The Red Pill is a subreddit dedicated to a form of toxic masculinity oriented around male superiority and perceptions of discrimination against men. Extreme misogyny abounds. The representative himself made posts indicating he believed women were, quote, intellectually inferior and, quote, useful only for sex. Speaking of intellectually inferior women, there's jokes that we'll keep private. In nepotism news, Ivanka Trump leads the White House meeting in Trump's absence.
Oh, God, yeah, that pissed me off when I heard that.
Ivanka Trump led a roundtable about human trafficking with members of Congress while Trump was speaking at the Coast Guard graduation.
No, he misspelled that. It's not speaking, it's whining and complaining. They're being so unfair to me.
Talking about himself at the Coast Guard graduation. The meeting was attended by members of both parties, including House Majority Leader McCarthy, who we've talked about in this episode. Kevin McCarthy, the dipshit who did the Hillary Clinton thing, was going to all of that bullshit.
I say there should just be a rule: no more McCarthys in public office.
Ivanka has an office at the White House, but does not fill a congressionally approved, vetted, or paid role.
So what the fuck is she doing in that?
She's just the president's daughter, leading meetings in the White House, because that's what you do now, apparently.
I hope she brought cookies.
Jason Chaffetz, boo.
Fuck him.
Republican from Utah, resignation impending. The end of June, he will probably announce.
Well, he already
did.
And very soon.
As of this afternoon, he has officially.
Yeah.
Oh.
He has officially, the 30th of June is his last day.
Because last month he announced that he would not seek re-election when his term is up in 2018. He initially indicated he might not fill the remainder of this term. He abruptly took leave of Congress for an, quote, emergency foot surgery.
Bone spurs.
Though he returned to vote on the ACA repeal. As chair of the House Oversight Committee, Chaffetz openly anticipated raking then-forerunner Clinton over the coals, anticipating her as future president. Speculation is that Chaffetz doesn't want to be seen as harming his own party now that his role in oversight might be turned against Trump.
So I agree with that speculation. I've heard two different stories, and both are very plausible, and they might both be true. The story he gave for why he's resigning, family thing, I mean, that whole thing is bullshit.
My foot hurts, and I'm getting old, and I'm going to spend time with my family.
Empty nest, and my kids are going off to... He got reelected 6 months ago. I mean, let's be honest. His donors should be pissed.
What kind of shitty fucking planning is this from you, Chaffetz?
That you didn't know your kids are graduating and going off to, graduate school or whatever?
The nanny had not informed me of this
6 months
6
ago?
months ago, sir. I only found out this last week.
His donors have a right to be pissed right now.
Oh, hell yeah.
6 months ago, they elected him and gave him buttloads of money. So one argument, and it's a very valid argument, is that Chaffetz wants to maintain his reputation and not be sucked. He sees what's coming
as
in
a
2018.
gigantic asshole.
He sees what's coming in 2018 and over the next 18 months, and he doesn't want to be sucked into it. And he wants to leave while his reputation, at least on the right, is relatively clear.
Yeah, as a bulldog against those Democrats and a watchdog who's going to take the Democrats to task for their wrongdoings.
Right.
So when he doesn't want to do that. Run.
Yeah.
Well, or gubernatorial.
Gubernatorial. He's going to come back here to Utah.
Well, so the other suspicion is that he's looking at Fox News.
Yeah, I did hear
and
about
he's
that.
looking to be the next, what's his name?
Bill O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly. And
fucking let him do that. Then I don't have to pay attention to his ass.
Well, but again, I mean, his fucking, the people donated to him, elected him for 2 years, 6 months ago, and now he's going to quit his $170,000 a year job here to go get $15-20 million a year, which is what O'Reilly got.
Yeah.
Plus another $15-20 million in book deals over on Fox News. He has every right to do that.
Fuck, I hope he does that instead of running for governor. I really do.
Shit, so do I.
Yeah.
I cannot.
I really, if he moves to Fox, fuck it. I don't have to watch him there. If he becomes governor of the state of Utah, I have to listen and pay attention to what that crazy fucker is going to do.
Yeah, no doubt.
So go work at Fox, fucker. Fucking pocket that money, shit. Get the fuck off. Go away. Get out of politics, except as a commentator, which is what you're best at anyway. Just running your fucking gums. I hate that guy. He's such an asshole.
So do I.
He's just a fucking prick.
And now Utah's governor and legislature, they're all at each other's throats, trying to figure out how to fucking replace him, and who's going to have the power there.
Well, I heard they weren't going to replace him in the interim.
Oh, they are going to replace him.
Are they? I thought they were saying they weren't.
No,
for Utah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
They're not going to go 18 months with no
representation.
With only 3 House members. No. The debate and what's unclear in the Utah Constitution is how.
Okay.
And the process by which I don't even fully understand it, but it's something about.
Well, and again, most states, the governor just selects somebody, right?
Right. But in Utah, it's not really clear.
Huh.
And whether we go through a whole election, and that's what it's looking at. It's looking like we're going to have a special election. But how do we choose so one side is saying that the existing, not diplomats, what's the word?
Representatives?
No. In a caucus system, you have.
You're delegate?
Delegates.
Yeah,
delegates.
Okay. I should have just said the whole word.
The existing delegates that already exist will just choose the candidates. And so one side is saying, let's do that. The other side is saying, no, we should do a full primary. And so there's a whole lot of debate back and forth. Both sides are trying to make sure, and both sides are Republican, and both sides are trying to make sure, well, whatever we do, we want to make sure that it's a Republican.
Yeah.
We don't want a fucking runoff between 3 Republicans and 1 Democrat and have a Democrat win because Republican. So we don't want that to happen.
Right.
So, they're trying to protect against that as well. So it's like this whole big thing. And names are coming out of the closet of all these people who are running.
Wasn't that female doctor planning on running against Chaffetz and was raising a whole lot of money?
She might have been.
I could be totally wrong on that. But.
Yeah, there was a female doctor, and she's not
because it seems like that was another one of the things I heard is that he saw the writing on the wall that he's very, very unpopular now, even within his own district, and that she is very popular, has raised quite a bit of money, and that his ass will be on the line during the next election.
Well, but even then, he could have completed his term.
Yeah,
he had already said,
and then just chosen not to run and be like, I don't want it anymore.
And he already announced weeks ago that he wasn't going to run.
Yeah.
He still could have completed his term. No, he quit because he didn't want to be sucked into this quagmire. And, or Fox News is courting him with a multi-million-dollar deal, which I can see both answers being plausible and true simultaneously.
Oh, God, wouldn't it be really shit if he did both? Like became governor and worked for Fox News.
Can he?
I would think it'd be hard to do both simultaneously.
He'd try it.
Well, and the governor thing is kind of a third thing. That's a whole third thing, whether or
That's
not
entirely speculation.
Gubernatorial. My understanding, I don't think Herbert's planning on running again.
No, I don't. Yeah, I believe he has said. I believe he has said that he's not going to.
He will then.
Well, if Republicans didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have any standards at all.
Well, in case you live under a rock, news, the Comey memo. It was a leaked document to multiple news sources indicating Trump had former FBI Director Comey at the White House the day before Flynn was forced to resign. Vice President Pence and AG Sessions were asked to leave the Oval Office, where Trump then asked Comey to let this go. Flynn is a good guy, according to a memo by Director or ex-FBI Director James Comey. Comey has a history of taking contemporaneous memos, and they have held up in court before as admissible evidence, such as during the Ashcroft affair during the Bush administration. I don't know how many people are familiar with that.
That was warrantless wiretapping.
Yeah.
It was about the warrantless wiretapping.
Megan Welsh confirmed on Twitter that Fox News, quote, independently confirms existence of the Comey memo in which Trump asked him to end the Flynn investigation.
So in my opinion, and that is a smoking gun. I mean, Trump could have weathered everything else. Trump probably could have even weathered the Comey firing. There were plenty of plausible explanations, and his supporters were like, "Oh, well, Comey had to go," and blah 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 blah. That memo is what changed my mind. Last week, I was kind of skeptical. I wasn't sure. Were they going to have enough on Trump? Is Trump going to be impeached, etc.? Even with the Comey firing, I was kind of skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
When the memo came out, I felt like, now, I mean, that's a nail in the coffin.
And that's
Trump. This is what is going to impeach Trump.
And that's
is that memo.
Yeah, all of Comey's friends
on
have said
obstruction
about
of
him.
justice, you think?
Yeah. Or something to that effect. I mean, when you're impeached on high crimes and misdemeanors, which can mean whatever the fuck Congress wants it to mean. So if it's obstruction of justice, I think, Nixon was under something similar to obstruction of justice as well. So,
and one good thing about Comey and his friends have said is he is very good at leaving a paper trail behind himself.
Right.
So that way he has the information to back up what he's doing and saying.
All these arguments that it's a fake memo or that he made it up after the fact or that it doesn't exist, those are all bullshit by his own history and everyone who knows it.
Yeah.
I mean, it says right here, he's used
it in the past.
Virtue of
he's used it in court as evidence. So, and everyone who's talked on both sides, political spectrum, who've worked with the FBI says this is standard practice. I mean, for fuck's sake, it's standard practice for me working at the VA. I don't do anything based on a verbal confirmation. I have somebody send me a fucking email.
Yeah.
Saying, make this change on this server. Cause I want that paper trail. I mean, it's just common fucking sense.
Oh yeah.
And if Trump has fucking tapes, then,
Well, even working at a fire department, we almost don't do anything without a paper trail.
Yeah.
Everything's documented, written down.
Well, the last bit that we have to cover tonight is a bio of Mueller. I've talked about how well respected he is in circles. So we'll do that when we get back from this short break.
Hi, this is Yvette Dontremont, aka the Cybabe, and you're listening to Godless Rebelution. You can find me at cybabe.com, at my Twitter account at the Cybabe, and if you've hunt really hard, you can find me at Pornhub. I dare you.
I do spend probably a little bit more time than I should on religion, and I have a certain amount of hostility to it. I think the most rational reason for it is because of the harm that I see it does. We were talking about that earlier. Many people do simply awful things out of sincere religious belief, not using religion as a cover, the way Saddam Hussein may have done, but really because they believe that this is what God wants them to do, going all the way back to Abraham being willing to sacrifice Isaac because God told him to do that. Putting God ahead of humanity is a terrible thing.
If you have questions, comments, concerns, compliments, corrections, criticisms, or concepts for content, contact the show via email at godlessrebelution@gmail.com, by text or voicemail at 330-81-REBEL, or Twitter the twatter at TGR Podcast. Thank you!
So we're back. We're gonna do Robert Mueller bio, but
yeah,
my voice is going, so I'm gonna reserve a little bit of it and have you fine gentlemen do this stuff if you don't mind.
So I'm just going to read until I fuck up. And it's good to read because then I learn more about him because I didn't know much about the guy. So he's 72 years old, which is pretty fucking old. No, seriously.
Honestly, but he doesn't look that old.
He didn't.
No, I've seen that. I've seen his picture.
I wouldn't have guessed he was 72.
He's aged well.
I would have said he was in his early to mid 60s, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, at his age, I would have been retired by now by seeing this next stuff. He led a rifle platoon during the Vietnam War and was awarded the Bronze Star, Purple Heart, and 2 Navy Accommodation Medals for his service. Mueller received a bachelor's degree from Princeton University, his master's in international relations from the New York University, and his law degree from University of Virginia. Presidents who appointed Mueller to his position of the DOJ and the FBI are Reagan, H.W. Bush, Clinton, Bush Part 2, and Obama.
That's a lot of a lot of presidents.
That's a lot of service.
He's had multiple positions, dating back all the way to Reagan. His tenure as head of the FBI began with Bush Jr.
Yeah,
and he was the second longest tenured FBI director,
aside from Hoover.
Only behind Hoover.
Only behind Hoover. Yeah.
It says Mueller was appointed to the director of the FBI September 4th, 2011, exactly 1 week before 9/11.
2001.
2001. Yeah, I pulled a Trump there. And
yeah, that's all good.
He was widely credited with transforming the bureau from a why can I not pronounce this?
Purely?
Yeah, I was like purely. I'm like, what? Yeah, I'm recovering from the fog as well.
Purely
law enforcement agency.
Just say pure. Forget the LY. Like, just say pure.
I was saying that. I'm like, purely? No.
Is it the multiple
Purely law enforcement gig?
Is it the multiple consonants that are getting you?
It is. They fucked me up.
Just go with single consonants, man.
From a purely law enforcement agency to an intelligence-driven organization to confront the looming terror threat. Mueller and Comey have a history together that frame Comey has for taking meticulous memos of prior conversations. 10 years ago, this week, he testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee regarding a standoff he and Mueller had with Bush administration. In 2004, the Attorney General Ashcroft was ill in the hospital bed.
Oh, shit, I remember that.
Yeah, when they go to the hospital.
They go to a hospital bed and he's like barely conscious. Conscious.
Then White House Chief of Staff Andrew Card and White House Counsel Alberta Gonzalez were en route to the hospital to force Ashcroft they're there to do some shady shit. They wanted him to reauthorize an unconstitutional NSA spying program.
Well, and that's when Ashcroft was like out of it.
Yeah.
He was barely responsive at all. They were worried that he had no idea what he was even signing.
Which it basically sounds like he had no idea what he was signing.
Yeah, and they showed up at the hospital to take advantage of that.
Yeah. The Deputy Attorney General and acting head of the Justice Department, James Comey, said that he called his chief of staff to get his people to the hospital, and that his second call was to the FBI director. I hung up, called Director Mueller, with whom I had been discussing this particular matter and had been of great help to me over the week. Over that week. And told him what was happening. Comey testified in 2007. He said, "I'll meet you at the hospital right now."
Well, and that's one of the interesting things I thought I remember hearing about earlier this week, but I didn't know the whole timeline. But that Mueller actually worked for Comey. Comey was his boss.
Yeah.
At a certain point. I knew they had been long associates, but yeah.
That close. I handed the phone to the head of the security detail, and Director Mueller instructed the FBI agent present not to allow me to be removed from the room under any circumstances, and I went back in the room. Gonzalez and Card arrived before Mueller. Comey said they tried to make their case, but Ashcroft refused and deferred to Comey. He said the two left the room and Mueller arrived shortly after. Mueller's notes from the time back up the accounts of Comey provided to the Senate committee. Comey made his remarks that day to Senate Chuck Schumer, whose chief counsel was Preet
Bharara.
I fuck up that guy's. I want to say Bahama.
the same fucking Preet Bharara, New York, not federal attorney, or
I can't remember what his title was.
He's like a federal attorney or
a U.S. attorney,
federal prosecutor, or something. Yeah. U.S. attorney. I think that's.
Yep, because Bharara went on to become U.S. attorney and was fired by Trump.
It says it right there. Yep. If I had just read 5 more words, I would have answered my own goddamn question. But that's not how you do it on the show. We just make shit up.
Yeah. He just quit as a partner of William Hale, which Mueller joined in 2014. He was frequently tapped by major corporations and institutions to conduct complex, sensitive internal investigations. Among his recent clients was the defense contract Booz Allen Hamilton, which hired him to review the company's security procedures after one of its employees was charged with stealing classified data from the NSA. Another was the National Football League, which tapped Mueller to examine how the league handled a domestic abuse case involving former Baltimore Ravens running back Ray Rice.
He was the old Ray Rice guy.
And the other one that he did was Volkswagen.
VW. I heard about VW.
Yeah, for their emissions bullshit.
Former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort, Trump's daughter Ivanka, and his son-in-law Jared Kushner are all clients of Wilmer Hale, the former... I always do the tongue thing when I fuck up words. The firm Mueller is leaving to assume the position of special prosecution overseeing the high-profile Russian election probe. Wilmer Hale, co-manager director Robert Novick, said Mueller did not play any part in the firm's work for Manafort, Ivanka, Trump, or Kushner.
So that part I didn't know. And I guess, it's good he's leaving Wilmer Hale, but that seems, I don't know. It just, the world is not that fucking small.
Yeah. And the thing is, this firm is probably quite large.
Probably. And I'm not going to cast any aspersions on his asparagus, about Mueller. I still, but it's still really, it's just sketchy. I'm hearing this for the first time, and now all of a sudden, conspiracies are going through my head again.
And maybe he knew that already, and that's why, hey, I'm going to quit the firm because I know that these people are clients of the firm. And I don't want to be thinking that this firm is...
and that's it. Just fucking, of all the goddamn law firms, he happens to be working for the same one that.
Well, here's the thing. With as many...
be honest, Ivanka probably employs multiple lawyers and multiple law firms.
That's what I was going to say. With as much legal trouble as that family's in, every law firm in the U.S. is probably a client of theirs.
Probably, yeah. So, there's that. It just feels scummy. Yeah. The whole situation feels scummy.
But with him leaving the firm, it not only protects himself from saying, "Hey, I no longer work with them,"
No,
so there's
and
nothing,
that's true.
but it also protects the firm in that case.
That's true. Yeah, and that's true. So yeah, I'm being conspiratorial.
Well, and like I said earlier, everything that I've read or seen about him is that he's above reproach.
He's above reproach, and I agree with that.
Man of high integrity. Yeah.
It just feels so scummy. I mean, why can't you get something outside of all of this inbred network? I mean, it's like the fucking Hatfields and McCoys.
It might be hard, because if you're going to take someone, you're not going to take it from Joe Blow, Alabama, law firm in deer tanning, this firm. You're going to take it from a high-end firm, from a major reputable law firm, and rich people are going to go to major big-time law firms to get their shit taken care of.
Well, and the last line of Alexander's thing says, it's a massive firm with high-end clients, and it's assessed as not a surprising or worrying overlap because it's such a huge place.
And I agree with that. But again, it just feels scummy.
Well, I think
it feels like the same goddamn swamp. The same swamp of people. But no, I'm glad Mueller is there. It would just be nice if that connection wasn't there. I just wish it wasn't there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be hard because, the law firm is a large place, and, you've got the Trumps and the Kushners and everybody else in the administration who have such large businesses. It's going to be hard to find, a large, well-respected, reputable place that hasn't done business with one of them at one time or another.
I mean, maybe all they handled was the Ivanka's prenup.
Well, who would need the prenup there? Because Kushner is very, very wealthy. She's very
true. That's why Kushner got a prenup, because she knows Ivanka's businesses are fucking failing.
Your dad is going to fuck it all up for you.
Pretty much.
I think you do a better Trump with your bad voice.
Yeah. When my voice is about gone, then I can really get down.
Then you can really get down there.
When I'm a little bit congested.
You need to stay congested until he's out of office.
Sorry, my voice is just about gone. But we also received a little bit of listener feedback by way of message from listener Stephanie, who sent us a message and said that with all that's happening of late, I can't wait for your next episode. It's every day that the news has something more intense about Trump. I hope it's not at the cost of our democracy, but Jesus, I can't help but grin. Cheeto is no longer Neato in the American eye. Just wish you guys had more episodes than once a week. I don't have much, but am considering Patreon, and your podcast is the only one I have even been tempted to donate to on Patreon.
We really do appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. That's very nice.
And we hope that we didn't make you go completely batshit crazy over everything Trump in this episode.
Well, and there was just so much. I mean,
there was just so much.
All of that information was within the last week.
Within the last week, I don't think much of any of that was what we covered when we recorded 1 week ago tonight.
No, and we could have spent so much more time on it, going into the details of a whole lot more.
Oh shit,
stuff. Yeah. Reading a lot of the different articles and stuff. So we wanted to be sure that we were able to get you that information. I want to thank Alexander so much for sending us all of that, compiling all of that for us and sending it to us. Fucking amazing. Thank you so much for that. I really, really appreciate it. While I'm thanking people, I also want to thank our Patreon subscribers. That would be Christy Kalbach, Andrew Vodopich, Jefferson, Mo Cowbell, Wes Aaron, Utah Outcasts, Andy Faulkner, Angelica Pearson, Jeremy Goodson, Brandy Hamrick, Taylor Grin, Grant Larimer, and Savid Acuna, and The Gaytheist.
Thank you all very much.
Yes.
You're welcome. I don't see your names up there.
Well, who do you think buys the beer and pizza, man?
Yeah. Who do you think drives 2 hours?
Oh, well, there's that.
That's true too. Yeah. If you would like to become a Patreon supporter, you can do so by going to patreon.com/GodlessRebelution. We would appreciate that very much. If you cannot afford to become a patron of the show just yet, but would like to show the show some love, you can head over, follow us on Twitter, follow us on YouTube, rate and like the show out on iTunes,
every
and Stitcher,
platform you find it on.
wherever you can do so. Share the show with your friends, send them links, post it, share things that we post out on our Facebook timeline. Tweet at us, send us email messages. We love hearing from our listeners, so it's always good.
Now, I just got one thing I want to say before we end tonight's show.
What's that?
I was given a new responsibility this week.
Oh, God damn it, I forgot.
I was given a new an awesome responsibility this week from our friends on the Two Skeptical Chaps.
You know what? We need to play the clip of that. So
okay.
I'm going to pause this, and we'll find the clip and play it, and then...
Okay,
hang on.
All right, we need to deal with the Godless Rebelution again, Spike. So, I've been doing some thinking, and I like it when they talk about us, Spike. So I thought, what's a quick way I can get them to talk about us every episode? I've come up with an idea. You know how Agent Duffy asked if he would be allowed to promote or demote the other two? I think, and he's been very loyal.
I know where you're going with
this. He's the only one. He never says anything bad about us. I think we should give him a little bit of extra power, and I think it might make them treat him nicer as well. Every episode of the Godless Reb, Agent Duffy, you are allowed to promote either Dan or Matt, just one of them, one level, just one of them. So you have to pick who's been the nicest to you, and you can pick which one gets the promotion that episode.
He's gonna love this.
There you go, power. Alternatively, you can demote them one level as well. How about that? But only one of them, one level. I think that's going to cause some fun. And on that note, I think we're out of time. This has been good fun.
Okay, so they're throwing out like a Sophie's Choice on you here.
They are.
Well, I see this as a divide and conquer thing.
Well, I like cookies, but this week it's easy. This week it's, I don't think I can do a promotion or demotion this week.
What?
Well, you're sick, so I'm going to take pity on you.
Hey, man, I deserve to be promoted because I'm sick and I showed up to do this.
But the thing that you're going to say to them is going to earn a demotion right away, so, all right.
I don't keep track of this.
I don't even know if I'm fucking ranked. I mean, I've shared a few things with their show. I mean, do they have a page?
Oh yeah. Well, they have. Maybe
they have a Facebook page. Yeah.
Well, no, I've seen their Facebook page, but I can't find anything about like who has what rank.
He keeps. Well,
oh no, they'd have to be much more organized in order to.
Well, there we go. You just got your.
I have no idea if I have a 00 rating or rank or a position or.
So Dan does keep an actual file.
Am I like the butler? I mean,
Dan does keep an actual file secured in their bunker on his laptop of the ranking system and who's got what rank. See, now this is the thing.
So how the fuck do any of us know?
Well, because they're not like Trump and they don't just hand it out willy-nilly to Russia.
But when I go into my job, I can ask my boss what my job is.
Well, yes.
Well, you have to pay attention to the show and follow along with
Well,
your
maybe I'm not ranked, so, okay.
But anyways, don't worry, I'll be giving them a special dispatch.
You're gonna send a
special dispatch
Western
Union
to the Two Skeptical Chaps.
A cable? You're gonna send them a cable?
I plan on hacking their satellite.
I think you need to address this whole mispronunciation of your name.
What the fuck, Dan?
I mean, if they're going to call you the Godless Revolution,
which he did at the very beginning of that bit,
but you're not. So I mean, maybe you call them the Two Skeptical Chumps.
Oh, no, I like those guys.
No, I like them. I like them.
Despite them trying to disrupt our show by sowing seeds of division and dissent within our ranks, I like them very much.
No, I do too.
But I think next week when Matt's back, I'll definitely have to be giving out some promotions and demotions, depending on how you two act.
But it's only one time per episode.
True, one time per episode, but since Matt's not here, I got nothing to evaluate it against.
Well, they said you can do it every episode.
Correct.
So, but you know what? They're going to prove your power ultimately feckless because whatever you do, they'll just undo on their show. If you decide to promote us, they'll just say, nope, demote it again.
And promote to what? I mean, where's the list of jobs? How do you know whatever your position is now?
I don't know.
How do you know
their
what's-
segment in
Wait,
this?
wait,
It seems
wait.
like they kind of make this up on the fly. So.
No, they did give out some different ranks a couple weeks ago, and if I
they
do
did.
remember right, I thought one rank that would fit you quite well, Dan.
Was a fat bearded agent?
No, there was a. This came from a census from like Europe in like the 1500s, an old census of their people's jobs. And there was a midget wrangler.
Oh
no! I think that
I remember,
would suit you quite well.
I remember the midget wrangler.
Well, that clip that we played came from episode 52 of the Two Skeptical Chaps.
It's a wonderful episode.
You all can go out and listen to it. They had a great guest, Mr. Metal Ollie, on there, who coined the shit-gibbon phrase.
Cheetah-faced, ferret-wearing, shit-gibbon.
And on that, we'll wrap things up here and move over to the extended Patreon stuff. So until next week, dear listeners, crucify that like button.
Leave a review to achieve nirvana.
And rate the show 5 times a day toward Mecca.
I kind of lost track.
Oh, good excuse, Grant.
It's I don't know.
Fucking up our mojo.
All right.
It's a new thing. I just learned about it last week. I was going to read the Nirvana one because it's right here.
Oh.
Yeah, give me a heads up.
Well, thanks, everybody.
Was that why my microphone was pointed downwards? Because I got in here and my mic was pointed like this.
No, I sat over here. I was probably when Grant was fishing beers out of the fridge. Oh, God damn it.
I like Spike's things. Like, what the? Spanks. I like Spanks. And Spike. Spike seems like a cool dude.
We should start calling him Spank now.
Don't forget, I'm the most eloquent mother.
Diplomatic immunity, Spank.
Spanks. We got Spanks. We got George.
I don't feel very good.